We're going to bring in Shan Wu, CNN legal analyst, also a former federal prosecutor. And Shan, thank you so much for joining us. We're just talking to Ryan Goodman just then about what's going to happen next when the U.S. president, as expected, is going to sign that compromise bill for border funding. And on top of that, declare an emergency. This is going to be fought. This is going to be fought in Congress and also in the courts. Ryan said just a moment ago he believes that a court battle is imminent. Your thoughts on the court battle and how it's going to play out in the courts?
I would agree with Ryan. I think this will be immediately challenged in court, and people have been expecting that. And it'll be a question of the standing, and that's the legal doctrine that says who is allowed to bring the case. That's what the standing doctrine means. And in this case, members of Congress may have standing to do it because the argument would be that this is infringing upon Congress's right to control the purse strings. And then also an interesting aspect might be that landowners along the border where their land rights might be infringed, there's a concept called eminent domain by which the government might take that land to try and begin construction. They could also have standing to challenge it as well, saying that their rights are being infringed for essentially what seems to be a bit of a false national emergency.
And Shan, we keep hearing from congressional leaders that Donald Trump's move could set a dangerous precedent here. Shan, is this indeed a first? Has any other U.S. president tried to do something like this?
There certainly have been, there are actually probably right now a number of national emergencies in place that we don't hear about. The president certainly theoretically has these legal powers to do it. I think what's interesting about the legal battle is it's rare to have to define legally what constitutes the emergency, and it certainly can set troubling precedent. I think the reason why many of the members of Congress were worried about it is what's good for the goose can be good for the gander, meaning if you're a Republican and you think, okay, I'll support this Republican president for this wall, and then the Democrats come in and want to do something, for example, on gun control by declaring a national emergency, that would be problematic for them politically. So it is troubling because it really does run into a violation of the constitutional separation of powers. Congress is supposed to control the purse strings. You do it through legislation, and if the executive branch regularly begins to usurp that simply by declaring willy-nilly a national emergency, that does pose a very troubling precedent.
Yeah. Shan Wu, Ryan Goodman, thank you for joining us. We are waiting to see what happens in the White House in the hours ahead, but it looks like the U.S. president is set to end one political crisis while starting a completely new one that could set this dangerous precedent that we were talking about. A big thank you to you both for joining us.